Hello, my name is Luke Buchanan-Hodgman. I'm one of the co-authors for the study entitled Analysis of Student Engagement on a Blended/Distance Learning Degree, the Professional Economics Degree Apprenticeship Programme. I have a number of co-authors: Naomi Beder, Alistair Bailey, Alfred Duncan, Ian Fraser, Federico Lampis, Rinchen Mirza, Christian Krenzel and Jean-Philippe Dubé. And the aim of this short video today is to tell you a little bit about the programme itself, what this project is analysing in terms of student engagement, what we've found, and what we're going to do next. So before I begin talking to you about what we were focusing on, I think it's important to lay out what the degree apprenticeship program is, what it looks like. Now, this is the first of its kind in the UK. It provides apprentices with a degree apprenticeship, which is equivalent to a normal undergraduate degree. Although it differs in the way that we teach students, it differs in contact, it differs somewhat in the material and the focus of that, in the way it's assessed. And these differences are significant and important, and it can give us some insights into the way that students engage with materials on an online platform. So the program's been running now for 3 full years. We're into our 4th year this year, and in September we'll be receiving our 5th year of students. There is significant variation in style and type of assessment across the modules on the program. Some modules are more skills-based, they have a bit more coursework-based assessment. Some have a lot of quizzes in them combined with exams, some are more exam-focused. So there's a lot of variation between the modules on offer on the program. The teaching is largely conducted online. And the title obviously gave that away, but this began before COVID. We were planning how we were going to deliver this on an online platform to apprentices who were very time constrained, and we were doing this work right the way back in 2017, 2018. So we've got a good number of years now of experience in the way that we're delivering this program and how we do that. When I say time constraint, apprentices are very time constrained. They have 4 days work per week, Monday to Thursday, typically is carved out for work. They have Friday carved out for study. That is when we expect them to do much of their learning on the program. But in reality, students then go into work, then study over the weekend as well. So the DAP program provides us with a really good opportunity to study how students engage with materials and how they substitute their time between concurrent modules when they have very little time to use. And that question it's very broad. We're thinking about how students substitute time between those modules, and really then how assessment scheduling impacts student engagement across each of our trimesters. Now we have 3 terms, or what we call trimesters: spring, autumn and summer. And there are 2 modules in each of those trimesters. So how an assessment scheduled for one of those modules impacts on engagement in the module running concurrently with it. Now, in order to examine this, in order to answer this question, we need to extract data from a virtual learning environment where students do the majority of their learning. As I said, in-person events are very infrequent. So when we capture our online learning environment data, we're capturing the majority of the work that students do in those modules. And we do that via activity logs for assessment data in order to conduct our analysis. So we're looking at engagement around those assessment deadlines and assessment releases. As I said earlier, we've had 3 full years now of apprentices on our program, 3 cohorts of learners whose data we can use to examine this question. So we have around 80 learners per cohort, and those cohorts have done a different amount of modules. So our stage 3 cohort has done 16 modules, our stage 2 cohorts done 10 modules, our stage 1 cohorts done 4 modules. So that's a lot of data we can collect across modules, across years and trimesters. And what we're capturing there with engagement really is page views of written course materials. Now, this isn't perfect, of course, we understand that. We can't then extract data about eye movement. We can't see how long they're looking at each of those course materials, but page views is a neat proxy for us to use, and that data is accessible within our virtual learning environment. So our primary focus is on engagement across concurrent modules around assessment deadlines/releases. And our methodology is, as I say, proxied as page views. So engagement we're taking as page views in the VLE. So for each module, assessment dates have been categorized as time zero events to be used as chronological reference in the analysis. Expected views was calculated as an average of page views from the beginning until the end of each trimester for each module. So we're seeing how much we expect students to engage on a day-to-day basis across that term on the materials for each module. Therefore, we can then analyse how students do behave relative to expected, and that will just term as abnormal views. So it's just the deviation from that long or that term long / trimester long average that we've extracted from the VLE in terms of page views for each module for each trimester. And the assessments were grouped by type. So we have quizzes, we have assignment / assessment, and we have exam. Now we would expect students to behave differently dependent on which assessment type they were studying. Of course, quizzes, very narrow window. Assessments typically have / assignments have a longer release to deadline window, and exams typically have a tight window as well. Now, our findings, our preliminary findings, I'm going to present now. So we have findings for quiz, we have findings for assignment, and we have findings for exam. So the way to interpret this is relative engagement on the y-axis. That's really the abnormal amount of views transformed into days. So where you see here that this peaks around 16, 17 on the y-axis, that could be interpreted as around 15 times more engagement in the assess module. And if you look at the orange line here, which is proxying or showing engagement for the module running concurrently, but without the assessment, you can see around a day lost in relative engagement in that module running concurrently. Now, if you see here on the y-axis, we've got a significant number here. This is really coming from the fact that when you're doing a quiz in a virtual learning environment, you have to click through the questions. So we're going to have an artificially inflated figure on the y-axis here. For assignment, see the y-axis is a bit moderated, around 4 times more engagement, which again, remember, is the blue line here. This is the module where there has been an assessment release / deadline. In this case, it's an assignment deadline at time 0. 4 times more engagement in the assess module, and a relative day again lost in the concurrent module. And there's a lack of convergence after the deadline as well. Students don't then switch their time back to the module. That really can be seen as time lost on the module running concurrently after 3 days after the event. And for exams, again, slight change in the y-axis here. So we're looking really at around 3 days abnormal engagement, and around half a day lost in the run-up to the exam itself. And we've gone back a bit further with the window here. You know, exams are typically carry a bit more weighting for marks, so we expect students to begin engaging a little bit earlier. But you do find a degree of catch-up after the exam has been released, where students are prepared for the exam release, they've probably started the exam, they've got it done, they've submitted it, and they can then re-engage with the other module afterwards. And that's really it for the time being. There's still lots for us to do. We need to weight the assessments in terms of grading contributions. We'd expect students to behave a bit more strategically if assessments carried a higher grade allocation. We need to remove some of the noise from the quiz. We need to adjust really a quiz for clicks, because we're seeing a lot of movement there in terms of relative engagement. But that's mainly because when you click through a quiz, you're tapping up page views. And adjust the window forwards to see if there's any convergence, whether students do then move back into the other module, or whether that is permanent time lost on that module because of the assessment scheduling in the other module. Hope you found that interesting. Lots more to do, but thank you for listening. Goodbye.